everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am here with my model Sabrina. Right now I'm filling in her brows with my ColourPop brow pencil in the shade dark brown. For this look we were going for more of a defined brow, so I went ahead and carved it out with my E23 brush and my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Porcelain. Taking my beauty blender, I'm just buffing out any lines that may have been left from the concealer. Then I'm going to take the same concealer and concealer brush and I will be prepping the eyelids for eyeshadow. I'm buffing this out with my Y16 brush and then I'm setting it with a light layer of the RCMA No Color powder. For the eyes, we're using the Anastasia Soft Glam palette, and this is the shade Burnt Orange, and I'm just working that into the crease as my first transition shade. Using the same fluffy crease brush from Morphe, this is the Y17, I'm taking the shade Sienna and I'm building up the color. I'm taking the E506 brush with Cyprus, Umber, and Mulberry mixed, and I'm deepening the outer V. For the inner third of the eye, I'm going to be using the shade Bronze, which is just a really pretty, deeper gold color. Taking the Anastasia 15 brush, I'm using a brown eyeshadow and doing feather-like hair strokes in the front of the brow. Prepping the face, I'm using the Urban Decay Quick Fix. Over top of that, I use the CYO illuminating cream and turn on the lights, and this is the first time I used it and I was super impressed. It gives a really pretty glow from within look. Sabrina has beautiful skin and you really could have just left it with just the illuminator, but we were going for a full glam look, so we went ahead and used the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Nude. Sabrina was a little bit sunburned, so when choosing her foundation shade, we really wanted to avoid any pink or peach undertones in the foundation that would accentuate the sunburn even further. I'm so obsessed with this spray, you guys. Everyone keeps asking me what it is because I can spray it anywhere from 3 to 6 times a client. It really helps when you're spraying it before you're using liquids and creams, just to help melt everything into the skin. Taking the same Born This Way concealer, I'm putting it on all the high points of her face that would reflect light naturally, so underneath the eyes, between the brows, the nose, the chin, and above the lip. And then I'm going to be buffing that in with my beauty blender. Taking my Fenty Beauty matchstick in the shade Mocha, I'm just mapping out her contour. If you are new to contouring, I would definitely recommend these or something that is more creamy. If you pick something that is more dry, it's going to be harder to blend out. Then I'm taking my Y10 brush from Morphe and doing circular motions just to buff out any lines, and then I quickly move to patting motions. I find if you do too many circular motions, it tends to pull up the foundation in patches. With these matchsticks, I don't know about you guys. If you've used any of the concealer ones, let me know, because I have the one in Bamboo, but I haven't tried it yet. I swatched it on my hand. It looked a little bit chalky. I just prefer a liquid concealer, but I don't know. I think I'm going to try it maybe in my next video. Now, obviously, she does not need any contouring, really. She has a beautiful, like, defined chin, but we are going to be doing it mainly for color. I'm using the same brush, except for this time I'm using a little bit more pressure just to blend out those lines, and I'm using a back and forth motion. All of these clips are going to be a little bit long because I didn't crop any of them. I really wanted you to see the full process of blending out from start to finish. Right here I'm using the matchstick Soleil just to bring back color into her face that we lost when we did the all over foundation. If you wanted your client to appear that they had a smaller forehead, then you would bring those lines down just a little bit further. It's really important to know why you're contouring or bronzing something on a client's face, because you don't want to do the same contour on everybody and maybe minimize a feature that you don't need to on a client's face. Right here I'm using a warm shade. If you wanted something to be more defined, like her cheekbones, you could pick a cooler tone or a neutral tone. This is the Fenty Beauty Matchstick in the shade Trippin'. I'm using a very light hand because I already have foundation on there and I don't want to layer too many products. I'm using the same patting motions as before to work this into the skin. To set her under eye, I'm using RCMA No Color Powder, and I'm setting this first so that they don't look down and crease their eyes, and then I'm just taking what's left over on my brush and lightly sweeping it over the rest of the face. Using the same patting motion, I'm using the Physicians formula in the shade Bronzed. I just found out that they have this shade in Sunkissed, so I'm so excited to use that. I just picked it up. This is the Fenty Beauty Killawatt in the shade Moscow Mule, and this is very pigmented and deeper. I actually bought it for my friend who has a deeper skin tone, so I went ahead with the Y14 brush for the first time, and I actually really loved it. It's usually a highlight brush, but it worked perfect if you wanted to just put a very light hand on something that's really pigmented. I wanted to warm up her face a little bit more, so this is the Milani bronzer in the shade Soleil. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, so if you don't like shimmer, you probably wouldn't like this one. For her highlight, at first I went in with the Killawatt in the shade Crystal Fire, but it was a little bit too cool tone for me and I wanted more of a gold, so I ended up using the same eyeshadow that I used on the inner third of her eye, mixed with Fairy, also from the Soft Glam palette. To define her lash line, I'm using the shade Mulberry on the shade Y21. This brush is awesome, you guys. It's really flat and easy to get into the lash line. Using my favorite definer brush, the Morphe M506, I took the shade Burnt Orange and I'm just buffing out that line to make it a little bit more smoky. I am so sorry, you guys. I couldn't tell if this was the shade Echo Park or Aquarius, but it ended up being a little bit too pink peach for me anyway, so I went over it with the Milani Lipgloss in Tenderness, and that was pretty pigmented, so it pretty much covered both of those shades anyways. For the final step, I set it with the Milani Make It Last setting spray, and that's the final look. I went ahead and added some footage here of when we changed her look. This is the Mimosa shade from Bite Beauty, and I wanted it to look as if she ate a popsicle, just a light stain. So I had her blot most of it off onto a paper towel. For her body illuminator, I used the same shade that I used on her face. This is the CYO Turn on the Light, and we just did a light wash over her collarbone and shoulder. If you want to see how any of these photos came out, I will have some of them posted on my Instagram, and let me know what you guys want to see as far as videos in the future, and if you guys like more natural looks or full glam looks in the comments below. Put this one behind the ear a little.
This one?
No, other one. Tuck a hair down, there's a hair. You're barely missing it. Over there!